Vince Donovan and Anita Gay. Both are co-executive directors for EBCO, East Bay Photography Collective. A little bit about Vince. He is an Oakland-based photographer exploring, experimenting, and teaching traditional photographic media techniques and processes. In 2011, he co-founded with Michael Schindler Photo Booth SF, the first West Coast tintype studio in over 100 years. Vince also worked in the gallery at Rayco Photo Center in San Francisco and was an in-house event photographer. His long-term portrait series, Cities of Faith, now extends to 4 different houses of worship in San Francisco and incorporates nearly 1,000 individual portraits. And Anita Gay is the co-executive director and promotions coordinator, and she has had a passion for cinema and photography her entire life, and has been involved with the Bay Area photo community for nearly 2 decades. She worked at Berkeley's Looking Glass Photo for much of that time, alongside a wide variety of artists and interesting characters. Anita loves to walk around Oakland with her Holga and is always excited to build upon her ever-growing collection of photography books. Everyone, please give a warm welcome to Vince and Anita. Yay!
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great to be here.
We actually met through photography as well, which is delightful. We both were working at photo stores, or like the tintype studio and my photo store, and then that's how we met. So it's great. Photography bringing people together.
So we have a presentation, which is kind of still under development, so there might still be some stand-up comedy involved along the way.
Great pun. Development.
Okay, so thank you for the kind introduction. So I'm Vince.
I'm Anita.
Yeah, and we thought we would start just talking about some fun stuff that the organization's been doing recently. This is a project that we're doing with Oakland School for the Arts. We work with their digital media group, their digital media students, and brought them through a portfolio process, which resulted in a gallery show that is still up at Panoramic Framing over near Grand Lake Theater. And so we'll take a look at a few of the images, but it's a really lovely show. This is Will Jennings. Interestingly, in this image, I saw several versions of it. This young woman is leaning over a trash can, and then he modified it to make it look like she's being, abducted by aliens. But these are, this is Tom Williamson, and that image originally, that's his grandmother. And I saw the original, just plain image of it, which I thought was remarkable, but then to see what he did with it just really took me to a new place. And the theme for this show is the future. And we just wanted to hear what they had to say just around that. And we left it open for them. This is Morgan Holman. And it was really remarkable working with these students and hearing what they had to say visually, what they had to say in terms of discussing their work and their process. So it was just a tremendous taste of what photography and a creative community can do. We wanted to offer them that creative community experience of working together to produce a body of work, resulting in a gallery show. And of course, if you've all been to a gallery show, especially an opening, there's no more exciting community than that, to have your friends and family all together, talking about your images. So this is the kind of thing that we love to bring, and that we ourselves crave. This is Elizabeth Trung. So those are just a few images from the show, and we'll see a few more. Again, you are welcome to drop into Panorama Framing. And thank you, Panorama Framing, for hosting and providing the frames. Hanson Digital in San Francisco did all the printing. So this is just one of the things that we've done recently.
And then last year, in the middle of the pandemic, we had our first in-person exhibition of 2020. It was a miracle that it happened. It was a real delight. We worked with these artists that you see listed here on a show called Representation Rising, where we printed out Underdog Film Lab printed out these images, and we pasted them on the side of a building on Mandela Parkway with the approval of the landlords. And it was just so fun to be so physically involved in an exhibition of this scale. And we were actually able to have an in-person opening. Everyone was distanced. It was right in the middle of fire season too. So there's just so much chaos happening. And to feature these artists and feature this beautiful work in person was just wonderful.
And these images are still up on Mandela. They're holding on. So they're a little worse for wear, but they're still up. If you get a chance to swing by there, if you haven't already seen them. And then another activity was online photography fest. So we've had a annual event every year, but this year we moved it online. And again, the idea is to bring inspiration, bring community, bring resources, bring whatever people need that we can provide. And so this was a lineup of Bay Area photographers and craftspeople getting together, giving presentations, and again, just trying to deliver some inspiration and support, creative support, however we can. We had an incredibly busy 2020, and 2020 turned out to be a real turning point for East Bay Photo Collective, where we really kind of learned who we are as a service organization, and that our charter really is to help the people around us through what we have, our creative tools, our sense of community, our knowledge. So this is just some of the stuff we had going on last year. The show and tell sessions at the top there, of which there were 20 set for a while, we were doing it twice a week. And it's sort of it's not quite a critique group. It's more of an open mic for photographers. It's open to everybody. It's usually around a theme, and anyone can bring their work and just present what they're working on, get some feedback if they'd like, or just sort of talk about their own work. And yeah, early on in the pandemic, we did this twice a week just to connect, just to give people a place to go where they could just, show their pictures and talk about their work. And it was amazing how much people were craving this. We have an artist talk series we'll talk a little more about. We started loaning out equipment to folks that felt the need to be creative at home. Let's see, we put on a photography festival. We grew our membership to now over 500 subscribers and pushing up on 200 actual donors. So this was an interesting year for us. It really gave us focus as an organization and what our mission is, which is a cue for the mission statement.
Yes, indeed. Our mission is to foster creativity and build community through the art and craft of photography. And yeah, we take it seriously. It means a lot to us. We're both longstanding members of the local photographic community, and we just want to bring in new voices, new people. We provide facilities in the form of loaner equipment, hopefully one day a brick and mortar location. We're always offering in-person education before the pandemic, now video classes and the speaker series. And then, we're just always trying to connect people, connect artists, and bring in the folks that aren't necessarily part of the conversation in other groups or in other gallery situations. It's very meaningful for us to bring in the voices of people that are underrepresented in the arts world.
Just some of the programs that these are all the programs that we have. It's amazing that we have programs, but we do, and these are them. So the monthly artist series, and we have had some remarkable talks already. Local photographer Jean Dominique, who has a a whole series on African-American farmers throughout the United States. Most recently, the daughter of the photographer Ruth Orkin, who has her most famous image that you would be familiar with is of a young woman walking down a street in Italy in the late 50s. But Ruth Orkin had a very profound impact on photography throughout the 50s and 60s, not just with that image. And her daughter came to speak about her mom's legacy. It was a terrific experience to be able to talk to someone at that level. So that series ongoing, again, completely free. Our creative community programs are programs to bring people together. So that kind of photographer open mic that I talked about. Our monthly photo walks, which used to be outdoors walking around, now they're online, but they're still fun. Do you want to talk about?
Oh yeah, the Oakland portfolio. Yeah, then that was what, the Oakland School of the Arts, the Future show that we started off with showing you is just an opportunity for folks to show their work and have it, I suppose, critiqued or discussed by industry professionals, and giving people a chance to have a in-person show that might be their first ever. And same with the alternative exhibitions, like the Representation Rising, like that was just such a unique experience. And just the fact that we have all of these really brilliant creative folks in our network, in our circle, that we can just connect with and make these things happen.
One of the artists in Representation Rising, Ivy Chen, her work is a young local photographer. Her work is mostly seen on Instagram, and to have it printed up 10 feet tall by 8 feet wide was very exciting, and it stood up. I mean, her work really handled it. Tools for Change, again, this idea of having facilities or equipment for people who who don't have access to it. And then Photo Oakland is our planned physical photography center that we'll be talking more about. We have a distinguished advisory board of some Bay Area movers and shakers in the photography world, and we'll leave it to you to go research who some of these folks are, but some notable ones. They're all pretty notable. Judy Dater was a good friend of Imogen Cunningham. Judy's most famous photograph is of Imogen Cunningham up in Yosemite. Merck Ross was part of close to the F-64 group here in Oakland, close friend of the Westons and Ansel Adams. Jan has a terrific gallery over in Jingletown and is very active with Beast Crawl. And Lewis Watts, longtime photo educator here, and it's got a couple of terrific books out if you have a chance to take a look at his work. A note about the power of photography and why we think this what we're doing matters, and what we've learned a lot about photography and community in the years that we've been doing this. One is that imagery is a terrific teaching tool because it's a common language that we all share everywhere from infants to on up. One of my favorite photographs that I have myself was taken by a 7-year-old girl as part of the Head Start program. And she was operating my speed graphic and took a fantastic picture of me and didn't have any trouble at all running the speed graphic or developing it in the darkroom. And so she knew what she wanted, and it was that experience of we had that common language of imagery. And it's an example of how it's a terrific entry point for education, because we can engage visually from a visual aesthetic point of view. We can use it for storytelling or documentation. And of course, it's an entry point for hands-on science and technology. And so it can grab people in all these different ways.
Yeah, and then now that we're all essentially photographers, since we all have cameras in our phones, we're all wanting to share our work and might want feedback, might want to learn more, learn more about where this whole photography thing comes from. So there's just more and more opportunities to connect and learn. And then at the same time, the traditional processes are making a comeback in certain circles, and it's really fun seeing that, and also being able to, educate young folks on those historical processes that are a lot of fun and very hands-on. And then, yes, digital photography, it offers endless opportunities, as we all know.
So what we're trying to do with this powerful tool, photography, is to support our community around us, and so we offer public art space. But this is a situation where public art spaces are decreasing and disappearing, especially in the area of photography. Several public photography facilities have closed in the past couple of years, and so we're offering a public art space, which might be virtual or might be a rented gallery, and in the future, hopefully our own space. We're also offering free arts programming while arts in the public schools continues to decline. There's quite a bit of arts education available, but it's very expensive. Private arts education is very expensive. And so we want to, again, kind of burst through that wall and offer quality arts education to those who need it.
And yes, again, we really want to give people of all backgrounds the opportunity to have their own show or be part of the art world. And yeah, that's a major goal of ours.
This image is one of the students that was in our Oakland School for the Arts portfolio program. And I hope you do get a chance to go to the gallery. There's several pieces of his there, but he was one of the stands out in terms of just looking at the world differently. He took on a simple assignment and really made it his own, and created something entirely new from just his spirit. And so it was such a great experience to work with somebody like that and give them encouragement, and to get their work on the wall, help them go through the process and get the work up.
Is this what you were?
Speaking of the future, I'll take the first two, Anita, and you can take the second two.
Good.
Okay. So we are fundraising for a physical location here in Oakland. So this process started 3 years ago, and really has taken on new emphasis as we learn more and more about the importance of what we have to offer. Part of that is building our board of directors. Anita and I are both new to the nonprofit world, and we recognize we have a lot to learn in terms of creating an arts and community institution. So we are actively looking for board members who can bring their expertise and help us on the path.
And yes, with our online and hopefully soon again in-person events, it's just been such a major part of our mission to build this community. I mean, it's, there's an existing community of photographers, but it's fairly dispersed at this point, or has been for the past couple of years, until we sort of tried to gather all our different circles together. And it's just been a really fun building process to make those connections and watch ourselves grow. And so we're doing that with the membership program as well, which is, it's a paid membership, but all of our, most of our programming is free to access. And so we're just trying to add another layer that kind of adds to our fundraising and makes things a little more special for some folks. But our ultimate goal is to be free or low cost for all.
Here is a dream shot, so an inspirational image about our plan for a physical space. We have a gallery and facilities for film and digital photography, and those very important gathering spaces for education, for sharing, for creativity. I was part of the Rayco Photography Center in San Francisco, and after it closed, which Rayco offered really important facilities to photographers worldwide. After it closed, people really spoke a lot about the community. They missed just having this place to go where they knew they would find other creative people, maybe someone that knew more than you did, or someone that you could go and help, someone who did photography a different way so you could learn from them. And it was that gathering space that was the most important that people talked about over and over again. And so So we're keeping in that in mind. We're really, really driven by that vision. And to date, we've raised over $70,000 towards our what we think is a startup cost of about $300,000. But we've been refining the business plan over time. This is another Vision Quest picture. If you don't recognize that building, that's the newly renovated Key building downtown. And if anyone here knows Jim Ellis, tell him thank you for the temporary loan of the of the architectural drawing. And this is our proposal for, there's a lot of empty retail space in Oakland, and it could be made very exciting and very dynamic through creative community. And just quickly, we're in the market for, or not in the market for, we're looking for this kind of size space and a creative partner who understands the power of creative community and imagery and how it's the universal vocabulary. So that's our vision for the physical center. Is at the end. That's the last slide.
No.
Is there another slide? There is another slide.
Yes, that is the final slide. So yes, in my role as promotion coordinator, I want to let you know where all our locations are online. But yeah, I mean, follow us if you're up for it. We are very active on the social medias and also very happy to answer any of your questions via email. So yeah, all our information is there. And this is a photo from happier times when we get together. We had happy hours every month, and they were always so much fun just to get together in person. And we're really looking forward to doing this again.
Thank you, everyone.
Well, awesome. Thank you for sharing. I mean, I knew a little bit about what you were trying to do, but the fact that you kind of shared, you're really trying to share diverse perspective when it comes to photography and get underrepresented stories told. So I'm so excited to see that you guys have raised quite a bit of money, but I mean, I'll open it up for questions if anybody had any to start off with. Jean, go ahead.
When working with some of the younger folks at Oakland School for the Arts, did you have any issues with getting them to shift mentality from, getting likes or something online to the idea of like, I'm going to put my art on the wall and I may not know if people like it? I mean, did you have any issues around that?
That's a really good question.
Boy, no, absolutely not. So the way the portfolio process worked is that we went through 3 portfolio cycles. So students would shoot for a week, and then we would get together, me and 2 other members of our education team, and go through the photographs they took that week and offer comments. And our discussions were, boy, very rewarding for me. I don't know if they got anything out of it, but I really got a lot out of it. And they just felt like kindred spirits, that they were very interested in, the emotional impact of the work, in the technical completeness of their work. And in the end, I actually felt that because the work was so strong and the experience, went so well, because they participated so enthusiastically in the portfolio experience. I kind of apologized to them at the end that we weren't having a full-on gallery opening, with a crowded room full of people and, champagne corks and
They're also kids.
Yeah, they're also kids. So no champagne corks, but that we weren't, as much as I want to bring that to them this year, we just can't do it. And then another piece of it is I talked to them a little bit about the excitement of working with physical prints and having them all laid out on the table, and all of us gathered around the table and moving them around and lining them up. And again, I had, hoped to bring that experience to them, because it's just a unique, special experience, and we just couldn't do it this year. But absolutely not. They were so much focused on the creative process.
Cool.
Anyone else? Go
Um,
ahead. Oh, Dan, go ahead.
go for it, Brad. You had your hand raised.
I was just going to ask, so you've already secured some funding. From what sources have you received funding? And aside from any generous donor, where are you looking for your funding? Foundations and things along those lines?
But it's mostly been individual, actually entirely individual donations. We're working towards asking for grants, but it's also, we're such a new organization. We were founded in 2017 that we don't have the track record yet. We're building it, but we're not quite at the point that we've been asking for grants.
And it's an area that is, we're inexperienced and really have a lot to learn in terms of how to present ourselves, where to apply, and that's something we really need to learn and grow in. But all the donations so far are basically individual donations, with one or two sort of larger individuals. But I would say 80% of what we've raised have been donations under $100.
Oh, wow. Well, obviously a strong community. And when you said we organized, are you a 501c3?
We are, yes.
Congratulations on that. I know it's not easy to establish and keep it. And therefore having some kind of development effort will be essential. There are people in the community that have that expertise. I'm not sure anybody here has necessarily development expertise, but there are people that are able. There are some that may come to mind, and obviously leave behind some connection. I saw it go by in the PowerPoint, but certainly with a cause like that, well worth supporting and enriching our arts community within Oakland.
Well, thanks. Yeah, we would welcome any connections you can make. We just know that that's an area that we need to grow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, did you want to?
Yeah, so I'm going to kind of pivot back to the art side of things. And I was really interested in the film renaissance because, way back when I was in high school, we took shop class, and one of the modules was like, you could actually do film photography. Are you actually seeing young people like really engage with that as a tactile thing? And
Yeah, I mean, we one of our board members is a owner of Underdog Film Lab in West Oakland, and they have scores of young folks coming in to process film, to drop off film with them, and yeah, just from personal experience, we see lots of younger folks that are interested in learning about these processes.
so I was curious, like, what's that perspective shift when you go? Because, like, growing up, film was like you had 24 shots, you had no idea what you took, and then all of a sudden, you get a phone and you see everything and you just go through it. So like, how does that shift work in reverse?
I think people are just excited is maybe not the right word, but interested in slowing down a little bit. And that's just been my experience with it, with talking with people about this over the years, is that there's just a glut of images now that you see online or on your phone. And it's just, there's no filter, and being able to, or being restrained by the 12 shots is all you get with the medium format camera. And so, you're out there and you kind of have to see in a different way and take your time and compose. And then also not being able to see your images until they're developed is just, I kind of like it. It's just, there's a mystery involved. And especially then if you're making that step to developing your own film, then your talent has to come into play. You have to not mess up the entire roll. Like, there's just a little bit of danger and excitement involved that you don't get with your iPhone.
In one of the darkroom classes that I taught 2 years ago, when I could still teach darkroom classes, a young woman who was a teenager told me two of the appealing things about working in darkroom for her was that, one, you had to have your phone off, because if you had it on, it would expose your film. And so it was an escape. And she told me, frankly, she said that she feels oppressed in some ways by having to pay attention to her phone, and it gave her an excuse to turn it off for several hours. And so darkroom work was this kind of, this kind of island. And then the second thing that she said that I thought was very interesting was that in social media, if you look at other people, what her peers are doing, and you look at what they're doing, what they're posting, she said, everyone's doing the same thing. One person does it, and then everyone else does it. by being a film photographer, not everyone is doing that. It is something unique to her and special to her. And that was very exciting. So those two things have really stayed with me in terms of what the appeal is, and obviously it's universal. It's not just to young people, but it was an interesting insight for me.
Anyone else have a question? Or jump in?
I saw in the chat that somebody has a tintype from Jenny Sampson. She's
Oh, yeah,
she's a
Lisa.
wonderful person.
Hi, Lisa. Oh, you're muted.
I bought a couple of her other photos to give as gifts. She's extraordinary. But I've known her dad for many years.
Oh, great.
So, but I wonder, I don't know, she's on your board, but how many members are there on your board?
We're in a dry spell with our board right now with only 4 folks, including us. But yeah, some folks rolled off, but ideally we would have 6 to 8. We have in the past. We started our board with friends of ours, which is fine for a start, but yeah, we're looking to get folks that are more experienced.
I just sent an email to a friend of mine who's done some extraordinary photography to see if she'd be interested in looking you guys up. Her name's Maud Revere. I don't know if she's doing boards these days, but she has been involved in various nonprofits before. So
wonderful.
Great.
Yeah, and Jenny is on our one of our executive teams. Like, she's very involved in the organization, but yeah, may be able to get her onto the board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's been running our community program. So she runs our photo walk, and she runs that show and tell series, and she's just Jenny Sampson.
right.
Force of nature.
Yeah.
She's also a chef. We
Yeah.
had dinner that she catered that was wonderful.
Yeah.
Do you have her books?
No, I don't.
Okay, I won't tell her you don't have her books. She has 2 books of tintype workout that are extraordinary.
Huh.
Both about skaters. One is just generally called skaters, and then one is skater girls.
So for many years, she's traveled up and down the West Coast to skateboard parks with her whole tintype, paraphernalia, and taken tintype photographs of skateboarders, and they are extraordinary.
Wow. I'll have to look at that. Look for that.
Neat. Okay. Well, if there are no other questions from the crew, I wanted to kind of ask, what is some advice that you tend to give to the newcoming photographers and potentially people that have been doing photography for a while in order to maybe tell with what they're trying to tell with their imagery, like the story that they're trying to capture? Are there some pieces of advice that you kind of repeat?
You know,
Good question. But well, that's funny because my first thought was just keep shooting, but we're also trying to say that, well, I mean, people use film, people use digital, but I mean, you just have to keep practicing. But I don't have anything deeper than that immediately.
Often people, when they're showing their work at one of our events, will apologize.
That's true.
And they'll say, these are just shot on my iPhone. And so we try to push back and say that don't even talk about that. Let's just to see your images. Don't apologize. That's, the images are let's just see them. Right. So that's kind of step 1 is get involved in the image. And working with young people who are maybe new in an arts program, it's fun to talk to them about emotions and say, can you, rather than, having the photograph generate the emotion, which is kind of, what a strict photography instructor would call lazy photography, like taking a picture like in a graveyard, or of a doll with no head. Like those are like these lazy images. Start with the emotion inside you and spend some time with that and find that, and now go out and just see where that takes you photographically. And maybe you're not even taking photographs, maybe you're just walking around and working with the students in the pandemic where they might just be able to walk around their house, or maybe just their block. I'm like, take that emotion with you and go, look at the cat, look at your front door, look at the sidewalk, and just see what happens. Does something happen in terms of an image?
Well, that's also like why our show and tells have been such a fun experience, because it's so rare to be able to take your work and then share it with others and have their very kind, constructive comments. And so you have an opportunity to see how other people are seeing your work and get the feedback from that, and then go out and refine what you're working on.
I guess 2 follow-up questions. One, what do you use to shoot? And I know you mentioned Holga, but what is your preferred method of capturing nowadays?
Yeah, I mean, I've been using the Holga for years and years, and honestly, we have a vast collection of cameras at our place that I need to be using more. But yeah, I still am a film photographer, but I use my iPhone constantly, I am at heart a film photographer. So I have an Icon FM3A, which is a 35 millimeter, and then a Holga, which shoots larger negatives in medium format.
I am borrowing, and I'm not going to put quotes around it because I really am borrowing, a camera from a friend of ours who runs Vamp, which is a vintage clothing and record shop downtown.
Yeah, uptown, actually.
Oh, they're uptown, yeah. They're part of the bike shop down there, and so this was in her father's collection, and it's a panoramic camera from 1927, and it has a lens. It's intended for taking large groups, and the lens actually moves across, and so it's basically a wooden box with this kind of goofy moving lens. So I've been playing with that for the last month or two. And that's just right up my alley. Can I get something from 1927 where the film is not even made for it anymore? Can I get a picture out of it? And then can I get something interesting out of it? And then there's a small group of my friends, members who were in their 20s and 30s, who are getting into large format photography, 4x5 and 8x10. So we have kind of an informal group getting together, and I'm just kind of working with them and kind of being a coach. And so that's got me shooting more large format as well. But I can either say we have tons of cameras kind of in every corner lying around. It's fun to just grab what's closest. I'm working on a project now, and again, it's about emotions, and I'm using a camera that has a built-in light meter, and it's probably the first time in many years I've actually used a camera that has a built-in light meter, and I'm using the light meter. And I'm not developing the film myself. I'm taking it down to Underdog Film Lab. And I'm just trying to kind of let go of all my rules and habits about photography and trying to do things in a different way. And it's tremendous fun.
Well, the last question I kind of had for you, I was curious, one thing we can potentially offer is connections, not just because of our club, but there's multiple clubs in the area that we could potentially connect you with. The other thing is, we're always looking to volunteer, and kind of curious how you kind of see, our time, maybe like if that's something we can collaborate with, volunteering for an event in the future, or if there's anything like that you think we might be a good fit for.
Yeah, that's a good point. Installing an exhibition or just showing up to an exhibition. But yeah, all the in-person stuff that is to come, but that's an excellent point.
Yeah. And as Anita said in the presentation, we've learned that the more we reach out and connect to the community around us, the more, the more meaningful our work is. Mm-hmm. And it's something that we really have kind of neglected the last couple of years. And so, our Oakland School for the Arts project really came from the most incidental connection, and it turned into this wonderful experience for us. And so we're just finding however we can engage, however we can offer, creative tools or creative resources, find folks, teachers, community leaders, groups that just want to do a project,
Yeah. Like the same with the Open Portfolio. Like we're wrapping up this project with Oakland School for the Arts, but we'd love to do another, show. We'd love to do another portfolio review. And so if any of you guys, are connected with an organization that has a group of folks that might want to show, and we have, Panorama Framing would be happy to host another show for us. So that connection can go both ways.
And then of course in the arts, arts development, arts leadership area where we need to grow. We need mentors, we need guides, we need wisdom, we need help.
I'm wondering if we can collaborate on a potential program for conversations in Oakland, depending on the perspective that someone might have with their photography. And that's something maybe we can talk about in the future, but it's our thought, like it's kind of like our TED Talk, but like focused on Oakland issues. And I'm kind of curious, maybe we can explore something in that regard, but it also kind of connects you with our audience.
Sure.
You kind of building, so there's a little bit of cross mingling there. It's just another way to spread awareness, but it's something we can talk about. Explore.
Portrait projects are always fun, with a group, downtown business owners or small business owners or restaurant workers. Like there's so many natural groups, and when you bring these portraits together of natural groups, it just has this exciting energy. And then we bring that together with working with photographers from the community. Maybe it's students who are doing the photography. Maybe it's the the folks in the community themselves. There's just, we've got tons of ideas. A fun project I did a couple years ago was with
I think
two youth arts groups, one in San Francisco and one down in Los Angeles. And we got these small film cameras, and so all the students in the arts group here shot a roll of film with these little film cameras, and then rewound the film back in, and then we mailed them to the arts group in LA, and they shot images over that same film. And then we had an exhibition of all these unintentional double exposures or accidental double exposures, and it was terrific. It was really, really fun. And it's just that kind of thing that just creates a place to create communally and then talk and experience and share.
Awesome.
So if you want ideas, we got them.
Yeah. There's no shortage when it comes to what subject matter of photography. So I wanted to thank you both for taking the time to speak with us. I mean, it was really awesome to hear about what you all are doing. And it's so cute that you also met through photography. So,
I recommend it.
Bonus points. But as a thank you for speaking with us tonight, we are going to be donating some vaccines in your name to our mission in ending polio now. And that, I never really highlight this in our thank yous, but this is actually Jolene. This is from she's in our club. So it's really neat. This is us in action, thanks to you. And in case you didn't know, Rotary has a mission to end polio now, and it's only endemic in 2 countries, Afghanistan and Pakistan, and it recently was eradicated in Africa. So what your time really matters to us, and we're really grateful for you spending, an evening with us to share a little bit more about the East Bay Photography Collective. And we hope you can keep in touch. We'd love to stay connected, and again, we'll hopefully be able to connect you with some other people that maybe have the experience you're looking for, but also we're always able-bodied and ready to help out. We love the idea of representation, in the arts, and I'm just looking forward to keeping in touch with y'all.
Yeah,
very much so.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you.